Hello, and welcome to HR Bytes, a podcast and video series to bring you stories of HR professionals who bring a think globally and act locally digital HR agenda to their work. Everyday people who are driving digital transformations in their organizations, data driven and future fit digital HR leaders. This is your host, Jay Polaki, and today's guest needs no introduction. Dr. Krish Shankar, welcome to HR Bytes. An honor to host you today.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So, Dr. Shankar, the human resources function has met the challenges of 2020, and we are ready to continue building upon the learnings from 2020 in 2021. How have you seen our people function influence change in our organization this past year amidst this pandemic and adopt courageous initiatives while facing challenging situations, both in the world of work and outside in life?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I think that's a great question to start with. And I'm here answering as in my role as the president of the National HRD Network in India. I think if I just look back and from what I've seen of the various members in the HR fraternity, the NHRD members, I think HR has been at the forefront during the last year. Yeah, I think clearly this has been a year which has called HR in all companies, and I've seen this across many companies. This has been a year where HR has come to the front across various things. Yeah, it's come to the front to render immediate kind of move to a new way of working. So how do you support that? It has come to the front in saying, okay, given this new way of working, there are some new issues that we found out. Yeah, how do you manage this thing about employee engagement, wellness? I think those have become very very important. But also there are other issues around it. How do you look at this whole thing of inclusion and diversity in a remote world, and how does it impact? So that's another area that many companies have really done phenomenal work. The third part is as we go into this digital, many companies have transferred into this kind of a remote kind of working. Many companies have transformed to become much more digital in how they reach out to their customers. And HR has been again at the front end in leading this, supporting this whole digital transformation. And in many others, I think they've pivoted. The business model has completely changed. And I think I've seen companies here in India which are now over the last 8 months have become very different. They've become like let's look at the food delivery kind of companies, and HR there has played a big role in transforming and making everything ready for that. And there are some other companies which have to change. For example, the hospitality industry and how they've changed and what are the new things they've looked at. So I think this is all about great examples where the HR team has to come to the front in leading either a business transformation, leading a way where we say, okay, now we've got to pivot to do something different, leading the whole transformation of the way we engage with employees, and the transformation of the workplace. All those are there. I think an HR has been really across many companies doing a phenomenal amount of work over these few months.
Absolutely. And I think, that H in HR has really been tested to the fullest extent possible. You are kind of the living example of the think globally and act locally digital HR mindset, which is the need of the hour, as you just stated. And leadership is now asking every team to do more with less because that's the nature of our world of work right now. So, in such a scenario, the adoption of technology, as you said, by HR teams for all aspects of the function is inevitable and kind of no longer just a good thing to have, but a must to have. So, how do you think we should accelerate the adoption of a digital mindset in our people functions?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot has happened in the last 1 year. I think people have, because they had to adapt to something new, they've already adopted many new technologies. Yeah. If you look at many countries, we've now hired people over the last 8 months completely remotely. Yeah. I think you've hired them remotely, you've onboarded them remotely, you've got them working. So that's something you would never would have thought of, and we've done that. So it's a big transformation for HR. I think every company has looked at their whole digital kind of processes to make that happen. So I think that we've actually kind of taken on a big what I call a huge inflection point of becoming digital over these 8 months. But I think if you look back and say, if you and step back and say, okay, how is the change going to be over the next couple of years? I see two or three things. One is this remote working is going to stay, right? And we're not going to be maybe 100% remote, but it'll be a hybrid remote. People would still work a few days a week, a couple of days a week from home. Maybe a couple of days they may come to work. So it'll be a hybrid thing. And therefore, and you'll also have distributed teams. You're not going to have everybody sitting in an office. You may have lots of distributed teams. And given all of this, therefore, we have to now rethink our HR systems much more to be ready for this distributed workforce, a very distributed HR, and better digital experience for our employees. Yeah, and I think while we have adapted fast, now we've got to think proactively and plan and move many of our systems to be ready for the future. Yeah, so this is a time for us to say, wow, we've been fast and adapted to many things, but what is it in the future? And now I think is a time where you've got to think more proactively and look at how we can really adopt more digital technologies for HR. Yeah. So what is the mindset? Your question was, how do we create this? I think HR people now realize that, and all of us realize that digital is going to be a key element. It will be there, and you got to really build things around it. You got to ensure that there is a little bit of the human touch around the digital. So therefore, those are the new things we got to think. But being digital technologies are here to stay. We got to make the most of them. But the key to success is to make them in a way which really brings your elements of your own brand, elements of creating that human centered touch along with those digital things. And those are some things that I think all of us need to work on.
Wonderful insights. As an HR professional for over 20 years, I never imagined that our workplaces would transform so at warp speed so quickly overnight. And it has happened, right? It's like a sci-fi movie. So, what's one piece of advice you have for HR professionals who are looking to adopt or learn new technology in this challenging time?
Well, I think what I would say, I mean, a couple of things. One, tier one piece of advice. I think what I would say is this is a time for people to experiment a little bit. Yeah, I don't think we all have all the answers. Yeah, because we're not sure what's going to really work. So I think good way to experiment. So this is a good time to say, okay, let's try something new. So experiment is something I'd say. Try some new things. Look at what could be a right fit for you, and maybe each one is different. But I think this is a good time to think of how we can experiment. So that's something I would advise. I think the second thing is there is going to be also a lot of new HR technologies coming. Yeah. So I think this is also a time where many providers would have said, wow, here's a great idea. Let me work on it. So you'll have lots of great ideas. So I think I would also say, let's keep looking for what's happening. What are some great thoughts? Not everything may be something you can use right away, but I think it's important for us to look around, think of what could be a vision for the future, because I think HR technology, since it's a fast changing thing, we've got to have a vision, a kind of a vision of how does the end look like, before we start doing it. So while you're experimenting, but just look at all that's happening, but build your vision, build a vision of what you'd like to see a couple of years from now and start working on it. I think those two are important so that you can then have the best environment, digital environment for your organization.
Absolutely. That is such, wise advice, sage advice. Thank you for that. So, in this experience economy where, our drivers are the employee experience, and we are looking to keep our employees engaged and provide this individualized, engaging, consumer grade experience for all our employees. How do you see the changing role of the HR function? We are at the table right now, and we are actively contributing to meaningful workforce evolution. So how do you see us changing over the next couple of years and beyond?
Well, I think, see, what's going to happen is the whole definition of employee experience is now taken a new way. Yeah, and this is about an employee experience which also involves a lot more digital, virtual working, remote working experience. Yeah, therefore, that's something we had not thought of in the past, but that's become even more important. So there's a new dimension we got to think of. When you look at employee experience, you look at an employee experience for somebody working out of their homes or working anywhere, and how's that whole experience working out. So I think we got to start looking at it. That's one of the new elements we got to build in. I think organizations will also see a huge pace of transformation in the next few years, partly due to lots of new technologies, and partly this pandemic has fast tracked many changes. Yeah, and you see companies now thinking and going much more faster. So I think HR has to become much more, alert, proactive, agile in these two things. The third area, which is very important, is I think employees now and people will feel that. Listen, how do we build this connection? Yeah, we've been working in a place we were there. Now we are all distributed. Maybe we're going to be like that for some time. While it helps me in my flexibility, I'm happy. I'm working from home, but I still lose that connection and that culture. And I think over time we'll realize that that's a very important ingredient to build, and that's where HR will come. Yeah, so I think the importance of HR will increase in these three dimensions. This whole redefinition of employee experience and how we can play a role in this remote employee experience. This redefinition of what I call this thing about how are you looking at connections? How do you build connections and culture in a remote world, and then HR will come to the front. And the last one is this whole companies transforming in a fast way in how HR. So therefore, on these three dimensions, HR has to come to the front. And I'm sure, we all the HR teams that I've met with, all the people that I speak to in India are actually working on many of these things. And I think these three will put HR much more at the center of every organization in terms of being real part of change over the next few years.
Absolutely. Uplifting our employees and empowering our organizations to lead and remain competitive in a global HR space has always been our agenda. But I think it's now our call to action more than ever before, given our circumstances, just because, of this little virus that wreaked havoc in our lives. So we have this transformation that happened overnight. And like you said, this hybrid workplace is definitely here to stay. So, as an HR function and as HR professionals, how do you think we can prepare for this increase in, remote work, distributed workforces, and a hybrid workplace?
Well, you can never be prepared for it, right? It's something we all experience, we all learn. Yeah, and I think the only way to really be thing is to be all of us be more empathetic and more compassionate to what's happening around. Also share learnings with others, so therefore keep sharing ideas and learnings from others. There are lots of companies doing some great stuff. Yeah, you see GitHub who's saying, listen, I'm going to be 100% remote and this is how I'm going to be working. So there are many companies who are coming up with ideas. So I would say first is, I think HR, all of us continue to be empathetic, compassionate, because unless you feel what's happening, you're not going to come up with the right solutions. Number two, look at what's happening. What are some great ideas others are dealing with? So learn, share, and that's the second area that we got to do. Number three is, I think, you to be prepared for it, you got to experiment. Yeah, I mean, there's no one answer that's going to be the fit. So you got to try 2 or 3 different things. So be open, experiment, try some new things. And I think this is so. Those are the three things that HR guys, people need to be prepared with. Uh, a lot more. I think that'll help you understand what are the challenges. Help you see what are the changes that are happening. It'll also help you look at what are some things that others are doing. What are some new technologies people are using? How can I really build it? But try and do it by small experiments. Yeah, and I think that's how this will really work, because
Absolutely.
nobody is going to come and tell you this is the way to do it, because no one knows. And if they say something today, it may change again tomorrow. So I think we've got to be constantly saying, how can I evolve something? How can things evolve in my own organization? And that's one of the mindset we need to be ready for.
Wonderful. It's like baby steps for all of us across the globe when it comes to this,
Yeah.
right? So, thank you so much for those insights. This brings us to the connection section of our conversation today, where our audience gets to connect with you and learn a little bit more about you. Um, who is one person you have gained in your network in the past year that you think everyone should know in HR tech or in in the HR space?
There are many. Actually, it's not just one. I mean, I learn a lot from people on Twitter, people on LinkedIn. I mean, there are some things. So therefore, yes, I think there have been, and there are some. I try keep looking out, seeing who it's. I don't think there's one person, but there are many. But just being on Twitter and LinkedIn and
Mhm.
talking to people in the industry really helps me understand a lot. We've got a group here of some HR leaders in the tech industry, so we speak once in a couple of months, and I think that also helps out a lot. Yeah.
What's your favorite HR podcast if you listen to one?
Well, I would call it an HR podcast. There's a podcast called the Happiness Lab, um, uh, done by Laurie Santos, Dr. Laurie Santos, the Yale professor. I like that quite a lot. And there are more in those areas. There's one that Dr. Katie Milkman from Wharton does on behavioral change. So that's the other one that I like. So those are the podcasts. Adam Grant, of course. I think these are the podcasts. I would call them HR, but these are podcasts on behavioral science and change that I listen to.
What's your favorite LinkedIn learning or something that you would recommend an e-learning webinar series for HR technology or HR?
No idea. I'm sorry. I don't know if there's any there, but there may be many. There may be many. I have not kind of experienced one
Okay.
as one learning program, but I think I'm not sure on HR tech if there's a learning program that'll help you. But I think you got to really be like a sponge, soaking from many sources and kind of trying out things, I guess.
Absolutely. Do you have a current favorite HR related book that you're reading or have read in the past that you would recommend to our audience to read and learn from?
uh, I can't think of an HR book.
Or a business
Many.
book for that matter. I'm reading Think Again by Adam Grant right now. It's really
Yeah,
awesome. I took the quiz before the book was released, so I'm very curious about my personal assessment. So
yeah.
it's an
No,
interesting
I've
one.
read quite a lot. I think of late I read another nice book recently called Emotional Success, which I found by David Desteno, which is a unique book, but it talks about emotions being important for success. That's pretty good. Yeah, of course, Adam Grant. I loved his Givers and Takers. I think that was a
Yes,
fabulous book. And
absolutely.
I've not read Think Again yet, but that's there.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Where would you like to travel after the pandemic?
Well, I mean, after the pandemic, probably I'd love to just go on a trek somewhere in the mountains in India, uh, in the
Great,
Himalayas or something. So go for a trek maybe sometime this year.
wonderful, wonderful. And you give back to the HR community in more ways than one. How do you enjoy giving back to the community in India and the global HR community?
Well, I think it's well. I've been learning a lot from many people in the community, yeah? And I think if at all, if I look back and say, okay, who's helped me? There've been so many others learned from. And my thought is really, if I can share anything, I'm not sure how much value it is for people, but whatever little bit that I can share in terms of my own experiences, time mentoring some young people, I'm very happy to do that. And that gives me great joy to just see young people in the HR profession do so well. I think that's something that I really enjoy doing.
Well, thank you so much for everything you do, because we really benefit from all the work that you're doing in the community, and sharing your learnings like today is such a gift to all of us. So thank you kindly for being here today. And if our audience would like to connect with you, how would you like them to reach you online?
I mean, they can connect with me on Twitter or LinkedIn, and of course, I'm happy to kind of answer any questions or help out anyway. Happy to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Krish, and audience. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Dr. Krish Shankar, thank you.
Thank you. No, it's been a pleasure. I've been in the industry and being part of NHRD, and that's really helped me, learn and also see what I can help the others. So, and it's a great pleasure talking to you today, Jay. Thank you. All the best.
Absolutely. Thank you, Krish.
Bye bye.
Bye.